Let me bang. I do let you bang. Hey, let me bang you, Kayla, man. I let you bang. I let you bang. Greetings, marrieds and virgins.
Go for Jesus. No for Jesus, people.
Hey, I'm not surprised, motherfuckers.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is time once again for your favorite mixed martial arts podcast. Recording out of Los Angeles, California, it's MMA Roasted with Adam Hunter.
Who the fuck is that guy?
Hey, welcome to a brand new MMA podcast. Me, Adam Hunter. I'm here with Greg Romero Wilson, one of my best friends. Probably the hardest guy to follow in comedy. I don't care what anybody says. There was one night where, like, I had to follow. It was Dane Cook back in Dane's prime. People don't realize how fucking
right.
It was Dane Cook, Daniel Tosh, Kramer, before he had the meltdown, and people,
right before he had the meltdown, when people still loved it when he came out on stage.
Carlos Mencia, back when he had like the mind of Mencia, and then me. I went, and it was like 5 standing ovations in a row. People looked.
That sounds like a Laugh Factory lineup. That's what that sounds like.
It was. People looked at me like they felt sorry for me. Like it was one of those things where like they looked at me again like this was like my like make a wish or something. Like they looked at me
like you did your part up there. You really tried.
No, that's when I got up. No, I did well. I did well. If I would have actually,
I'm sure you did. No, I'm sure you did.
But then like. To make it, but then like 3 people stood up to give me a ovation, like everyone else. It was almost more insulting because everyone else got like full standing ovation, and I had like 3 people that stood up.
Hey, listen, that's still tough to do on a killer lineup like that. That is tough to do.
Yeah,
that was in the heyday of the Laugh Factory, though. It's been a while.
Yeah, I mean, well, I just I feel like every comedy club in LA has their time.
It does. It has a peak moment, and I think a lot of it revolves around having like 1 or 2 of those peak comics that are part of your family, and so it becomes about that place. I mean, at that point, Dane Cook was the Laugh Factory, and the Laugh Factory was Dane Cook, and so that was their heat, that was their juice, you know. And Daniel Tosh, but Tosh was more of an improv guy.
Like if you don't live in LA, I feel like you didn't realize how big Dane Cook was. Like Dane Cook. When I first came out there, he single-handedly packed Dublin's with like 300 of the hottest women you've ever seen from Orange County with no TV credits. And then he just blew up like nationally, you know, but it was like, he was at one point, like, I mean, he was so good. He was so good at what he did. He almost invented a genre of like storytelling, sound effect, fucking crazy comedy that was just like wild and like kind of smart and like, but yeah, everyone
very similar to Brendan Schaub's comedy, I heard. Very reminiscent.
Yeah, except for the smart, funny, and animated part.
Right. Take those out.
You know what? And I hate to compliment Dane because I know Dane as a person.
Yeah.
And well, not even. I mean, I sort of know him. I mean, just having been around him during that exact time when he was at his absolute zenith. And he was such a miserable person to be around. It's tough for me to compliment him. But I will say this, in all honesty, he was one of the most electric performers I've ever seen in stand-up comedy. I mean, as simple as that. When he took the stage, I mean, his presence and energy on that stage were undeniable. And it's tough for me to say that knowing what a horrible person he is off stage. But God damn it, he was beautiful to watch on stage. And that's the truth. And that's when he cared. This is when he was hungry, when he was still writing all the time, when he would really give his all on stage. And it was weird because the second he hit where he always thought he could believe, he resented having to give that much energy again.
I think he also got attacked by everybody. I mean, he was like public enemy #1 by comics. And it wasn't like all the alternative comedy scene just used to take fucking shots at him. You know,
yeah.
I mean,
well, he cultivated a lot of that on his own. I mean, if he hadn't been such a dick to everyone else, maybe people would have celebrated his success. but he was so bad to every other comic that, I mean, it just made people hate him. It just made people hate him, and it made people hate his success more. And I hate to say it, but I mean, he was already successful by the time I started working with him. But I mean, I was just like, wow, this guy is a fucking dick.
I feel like we're still talking about Shab.
See, I don't know Shab personally, so I don't know if he's he seems like maybe he's a great guy. I have no idea.
Yeah, not really.
So over the weekend, I had an audition, and it was like 25 pages they gave me.
I hate that.
Put it on tape. You have you have 1 day to do it. It was like 5 scenes and like 6 scenes in each scene. And I was like, so I'm like, fuck it. I got to work on my acting. Got to work on it. I fucking did it. And then they called me. I got a call back. But they're like, hey, we want you to meet the cast for a callback. I'm like, just give me the part. Like I just did 25 pages.
No, since it's gone to self-tapes of us just doing it on our own, they've gotten really indulgent about what their ask.
Yeah.
You know, they're like, we want this, we want 2 different takes, all 3 scenes, put it all together into one single file. Don't forget to slate, turn sideways, do all this, and we want it by tomorrow morning, 10 a.m.
It was crazy.
It's like, they act like we have literally nothing else possibly to do except just do that now.
Did they ever tell about the worst audition I ever did for Punk? Did they ever tell about that audition story?
No.
So I was back in the day when Punk was like the big show. And I had an audition for it, and I was good friends with Ahmed. I'm still good friends with Ahmed. And he was like, hey, man, what I did was I punked the casting directors of like, I told them, hey, thanks for the part, but no thank you. And then I go, you're punked. And that got him the part. He's like, it's different casting people now. You should do that, right? So I'm like, you know what? Fuck it. All right, let's do that, right? So I go in there, and I wanted a monologue. I did a monologue for Chasing Amy. I did my Chasing Amy monologue. And then, it went really well because I didn't care. Because I knew I was going to punk them. I had no, that's when you know it goes well. Right. Give a shit. So they're all like, people are crying. It was just great. Then I go, you know what? There's like 4 ladies in there. I go, MTV is fucking, you guys are the worst. You're such hypocrites. You have shows like Safe Sex, followed by Cancun Spring Break. You have like Stay in School specials. Meanwhile, there's 5,000 kids outside TRL who aren't in fucking school. You ruin music. You have Jersey Shore. You're the worst thing to happen to music ever. Like since I don't know, Ace of Base. I just went off, right? And then I go, their look of horror on their faces. Then I go, you're punked. They go, security. I go, no, I'm kidding. Get it? I like punk you. They're like, out. Leave. I'm like, but this is I'm kidding. They're like, security. That fucking security guard walks in. Dude, they escorted me out of the place. Like they had 0 sense.
Oh, shit.
Now, at this point, I'm like, maybe they're punking me. Maybe this is like,
Totally, exactly. That would have been the perfect. That's what I'm wondering.
No. My agent called me up. He's like, that did not go well. They want an apology. I had to write a fucking apology about it. Like, they didn't even call me back in. It went so fucking horrible. But,
you know what's so funny? It's like one of the things they teach you. They're like, listen, if you can't win the role, win the casting director. And you're like, no, I'm going to make sure they never want to see me again for anything.
No, but dude, there was one lady in the room, right? One lady called me in 20 times after that. She got a different job. She kept calling me in for everything. So she actually probably liked me.
Oh, so you did win one person. That's great then.
But then she committed suicide. So it goes.
Wow, yikes. Really dark. That got dark really fast.
Speaking of which, by the way, McCorkle. So Father's Day, right? I post a picture on my Facebook. Dad, I love you. Happy Father's Day. Fucking this guy writes, must be nice having a dad that's still alive.
Now, when you say this guy, you're not you. It's not me.
No, me. Me. No. Fucking McCorkle over here. He writes on Facebook. Like everyone's like, love your dad, great guy. Blah, blah.
I know. I was like, what a guy. I love him.
And he writes like, fucking must be nice having a father still. I'm like, thank you. Like that's your comedy, isn't it? That's your sense of humor. Just to fucking.
And
I like to make people feel awkward. Even people I'm friends with just feel a little bit awkward.
Yeah, dude, it's like the time he did stand-up comedy. You hear about the time he did stand-up comedy, Greg? He brought a girl he had anal sex with, and he gets on stage and he does one joke and he goes, I don't care if you're laughing because I fucked that girl in the ass. And then his date gets up and leaves because she's all fucking horrified. and then that's his comedy act. He's like a fucking Andy Kaufman over here. Like that's.
Well, it could be argued Andy Kaufman wasn't funny either. So
That's awesome.
So anyway, how are you doing, Greg? What's going on with you?
Life don't let you relax. I'll tell you that. Just when you think things are okay, man, it'll take it out of you from somewhere. So, we'll dealing with stuff, but we'll get through it. Yeah. And that's the way it goes. It's family business, and anybody who knows me knows my family's got its own. It's turbulent waters. And but luckily I'm going there on Thursday, so I'll be able to see them and hopefully settle everything down, and everything will be okay. So. And
Sean, how you doing?
Hanging in there, man. Still going crazy with my back issues. So they moved my MRI today. So it's just, I don't know. We'll see though. Trying to find a fix. I was going to do stem cells in South America, but it's $40,000 with no guarantees. And I was like, yeah, I'm not paying $40,000 for you to make.
There's a couple of stem cells people who do it here in the U.S. There's a guy in Vegas that does it, and I know there's a guy in El Paso that does it.
Yeah, I guess they can get around the rules down there, though, and they can give you like 100 times as much as they can give you here.
Oh, right.
So, yeah. There's this place that a ton of UFC guys have gone to. It's where Matt Hughes is going. A lot of people, I got videos with them, but it's just too much money for me to blow, man, on no guarantee of fixing my back. So.
Wow, that's strange because, you keep spending $10,000 on dogs that do nothing. So it seems like $40,000 on a medical procedure that does nothing is right in your wheelhouse.
At a pond in his backyard.
Exactly. If we were to look at a list of your expenditures, no one would question it.
Yeah, it's a pond in my front yard, actually. And the dogs will make me money in the long run. Like I should make 20 or 30 grand on the first litter. So.
Got it. So,
well, we know where that money's going to go.
So
right, not to my back.
That's too bad.
So some fights over the weekend. Should we talk about the good fights or the ridiculous fights? I don't know. I mean,
well, I didn't watch the ridiculous ones, so let's talk about the good ones first, and then you guys can talk about the ridiculous ones.
Okay. So the Korean Zombie, Henry Cejudo hit me up, and he was like, "Man, this guy's really getting better at wrestling. He's really I'm like, Henry, you're an Olympic champion. Come on, give me a break. Like sometimes when you're so good, you don't even realize how good everyone else is, or they aren't because you're just so far ahead." But he was right. I mean,
yeah,
fucking Korean Zombie's now a wrestler. I don't even know if Dan Ige just didn't expect that, or that was the last thing he thought was going to happen. But he just dominated Ige every single time with the wrestling.
I literally expected it to be 50-45 on all three cards. I really did. The fact that none of them were 50-45, and in fact, two of them, it was a 2-3, I was shocked. Because to me, he just dominated Ige every minute of every round. There's no part of it where I thought Ige was winning the fight.
Yeah. Sean?
Yeah, that was the last fight on my parlay that I had several parlays with that fight going to Ige, and I come in. I was like, this ain't going to go my way. I knew it, man.
You know what? And I remember us talking about it, and I remember I picked Ige. I was like, I think this is it. This is a big step up. Yeah. I think he's going to – and I really did. I was very confident in Ige going into this. And then that was not – I mean, if anything, I became more – whereas I used to not be confident in Korean Zombie, I was like, this guy's going to be the champ. Korean Zombie has now worked himself in a position where I believe he could be the next featherweight champion.
Now, Sean, you told us you were really good at gambling and that you almost never lose.
I was for a long time. I've been on a streak, about a 6-week streak, getting murdered, man. It doesn't matter. I could bet that Brendan Schaub will get laughs his next set, and I would get it wrong. Like, well, I would be right. But, it's I can't, dude. I can't. It's unbelievable. I was on a hot streak for a long time, and now it's like every fight I get 4 or 5 fight parlays, I get every one right except the one that I'm sure on. Like, that's always the
one that you're like, nailed it, got it, lock it up, and that's the one that turns on. Now, do you track your bets? Do you, keep track, or do you just move forward?
As far as if I'm up or down?
In terms of who paid off, who won,
No, I tend to remember the ones that cost me a lot of money and then I'll never bet on them again. I'll see a guy and I'm like, all I know about that guy is he cost me money on 3 separate occasions. So
right, so you're not betting on him again.
Yeah, I'm not betting on him, and that's when they finally win.
And that's what I mean, to see what kind of track, because sometimes it helps to track. When you bet on that kind of level, it seems like it helps you track your bets.
Yeah.
Now, Alexei Olnik has to stop. That guy.
Oh, please. Oh, my God.
He's got to be 70. It looks like he, like, walks back to the dressing room, turns around, and starts another fight. Like, he fights every 2 weeks.
Dude, it looked like, okay, to me, what this, because I used to be on that show, World's Dumbest. It started out World's Dumbest Criminals, and then it became like World's Dumbest Thrills. And we would have these weird videos of like old men fighting young dudes. And that's what this looked like to me. This, to me, like, if I had to guess why they were fighting, it was because the young guy dumped the other guy, the old guy's granddaughter, and when she was leaving, he said, "And tell your granddad I'm not afraid of him." And then, this guy was like, "He's not afraid of me. I'll show him to cheat on my granddaughter." And then the fight happened that we saw on Saturday night. That was what it looked like to me.
I mean, for a while he was beating everyone with the Ezekiel choke. That was his thing.
Yeah.
But it seems like people have caught up to that. And now I don't know where he has the advantage. And he's a great fighter. He's had 90 fights. But at a certain point, we got to just, you know.
You do, not only do you have to do it just because but his defensive style of taking the shots to the dome is, I mean, you don't do that for his own health. Stop.
He must just want to get out of the house. I mean, you know, like sometimes, during COVID, someone's like, "Hey, you want to do this gig in Santa Maria for $20?" You're like, "I get the fuck out of the house." Like, yeah.
Yeah, it definitely feels like a guy who just literally doesn't know what else to do, and can't just sit around and he wants to fight. I'll fight somebody. Let me fight. I'm a fighter.
It's like that.
So they put him out there, but it's
there. You ever go to a strip club at like 3 PM? I used to go, and there would be like the day shift to the old lady.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
You're just like you know the guy wants to fire her, but he can't. I'm like looking behind me. He's becoming like a day shift stripper. You know, where it's like.
Yeah, he should have quit doing this a long time ago, but he can't do anything else, and you feel bad for him, so you let him keep going.
Yeah,
it's like he should have quit doing this a long time ago. After the third time he was hooked on cocaine, and then he. Wait, I got confused. There's too many stripper analogies.
Too many strippers. Exactly.
Yeah.
I'll tell you who looked great was Marlon Vera. I've never seen a guy come in with 4 elbows in a row. I mean, it was just. I mean, talk about like. Grant had the distance, so he gets inside and then just elbow. That was like some Street Fighter shit. Vera looked good.
You know what I thought was amazing about what he did? Because it seemed to me, and maybe I'm wrong, okay? Because you know some guys start slow.
Yeah.
Okay, he seemed like the kind of like he wasn't starting slow in the first round. Like he was baiting him into using all his energy in the first round.
Yeah.
Well, like thinking he might get finished.
No, he actually does start slow, though. He's a slow starter. That's his thing.
Yeah, well, see, that's what I'm saying. I think it looks like a slow start. I think it's deliberate. That's what I'm saying. We've seen this enough times now to where I think he's doing it to make the other guy go in hard on the first round. Then he gets to the bell. The other guy's exhausted, and then he just pieces him up for 2 rounds.
Yeah, it shows you how good Aldo is, because I remember when he beat Sean O'Malley, he was all of a sudden like, everyone loved him, and then he loses to Jose Aldo, and people were just kind of like off the train, and now they're back on.
Yeah.
It was
a hell of a fight for him, though. Davey Grant's a tough motherfucker, but he pieced him up good in those 2 rounds.
Now that guy Choi versus Rosa, right? Now the guy there's an Asian guy with the blonde hair. So, I'm always trying to make jokes because that's what I do. I make jokes. But it's hard.
Oh, here we go.
But now, so I wrote a joke. I'm like, man, that guy from BTS can throw, right?
There you go. That's a good joke. I like that.
That's a good joke. And then someone's like, that's racist. I'm like, look, if a white guy looked like he was in sync or something, and I go, man, that guy, or a black guy looked like, or like, how many times have we called, what's his name, Derek Brunson Cisco, because with the blonde hair.
Yeah.
But like, why is that? If someone looks like somebody, and you point it out and make a joke about it, because the person's Asian, like it was he looked like the person. If a girl looks like a fighter, I'm not allowed to just make a joke. Why is that racist?
No, first of all,
who did you say he looked like?
The guy in that
BTS.
BTS.
He just doesn't look like a member of BTS. Listen, first of all, that's not racist. It's just a reference.
Yeah.
That's a referential joke. He's from South Korea. They're from South Korea. It lines up. And secondly, we have to stop. We got to draw a line here, people, because there's a difference between a racial joke and a racist joke. Okay? Yeah. Racial comedy is just racial comedy. You want to act like it doesn't exist because you're poor and can't take go fuck yourself. Okay? It's just a joke. Everyone needs to lighten up, toughen up, and calm the fuck down.
Oh, you ever like ask someone like, hey, what nationality are you? They go, I'm American, right? But you meant like, hey, where are your grandparents? Like, because the person looks like he's from somewhere else, right?
Yeah.
And then they go, I know you're American, but you know, now you have to say, where are my grandparents? Pretty soon you're gonna have to say like, hey, people are gonna be like, are you alive? I'm offended. Well, at what point are we just gonna like where do we stop? We're not allowed to ask anything. You can't.
Yeah, I know. You got to be like, so what did your 23andMe say? Like, that's the only way you're going to be able to do it. And then they'll be like, oh, I've never taken it. I'm sorry, Ancestry.com. You know, you're going to have to, just to ask them a question, you're going to have to buy them a DNA test.
Like, somebody got mad when I know a guy asked that somebody, they go, what gender? He go, oh, I had a date. And then you go, what gender was the person you were dating? And they got offended. Oh, you can't ask what gender. Like you're not allowed to ask people's gender anymore. Like
you could just be like,
you could be what? You could be like what?
I said you couldn't stay. You could just be like, so did you suck his dick or? You'll know whether or not it's a boy or girl.
Could you suck her dick? I mean,
yeah.
At that point, yeah.
No. What you have to ask is, did they have a dick? That's the way to ask the question.
It's becoming insane. It's becoming insane because you have to look at like intent. Like you have to look at intent. You know, like when I say like, oh, where you're, you know, what nationality are you? Like, I know you're American. Okay, all right. I'm just meant. Okay, what nationality did your grandparents? Did your great grandparents? What do you have to, like? Leave me alone. I'm not going to talk.
I know, and a certain way, and that's the thing. It's not like you just be like, so what are you?
Whenever people always ask me that, I always
just let them just answer in whatever way they want. And like, great, that's what you are. Perfect. I just needed to know. You're a they from a place. Dig it.
Sean, what were you saying?
I was saying, when they used to ask me, I would act offended, just tell them that I mostly identified as Aryan. And that I would tell people that I was like the Hitler's experiments to make the perfect human specimen. I was the result of many generations of that experimenting. But that's when I was in awesome shape and was good looking. Now, not so much.
Boy, I tell you what, you were good looking. When you were in shape, oh my God, I'd fuck you. You were. You were.
Camilla,
people be asking Greg, so did you suck they dick?
I'd be like, they had a huge one.
Crazy.
Oh, wait a minute, Adam. I think I know where you're going with this. Let me just say, okay. So we have a friend in common, a wonderful comedian named Lisa Alvarado.
Yeah.
And she posts pictures of a show she did. I think it was at Flappers, you know, where it's like her and Jay Leno.
Yeah.
And she's posting all these green room pictures, and there's her and Jay Leno and Mayhem.
I wasn't going there. I told Mayhem he was going to be there. But
I was like, the fuck is Mayhem doing in this?
Yeah, because he's dating Camilla.
Because Camilla was on the show, and so he was there. I was like, oh my God, it's the most Hollywood thing ever that somehow came together.
By the way, so Mayhem, I think the Wi-Fi is not great here. I'm gonna try to go in a different room. So
okay,
is this better here? Is this better?
You got to get that Wi-Fi mesh, the like Eero or one of those that gets the whole place.
Is this better?
It's same for me.
Yeah. All right. So by the way, Mayhem update. So I got Mayhem a job coaching people at Ian Harris's gym, right? I don't know.
Great.
Ian, yeah. So Ian Harris and Mayhem, and then I knew it was going to be a good synergy. Ian Harris is a comedian, great guy, great.
Yeah.
Speaker.
Super funny guy.
He's like big fan of Mayhem, and it's been going really well. Well, Ian Harris left for 2 weeks to go to Greece and has put Mayhem in charge of the gym.
This is a bad move.
So now Mayhem is in charge of the pro fight team at the gym. That's the update I have. I don't know. I think it's going – I call Mayhem updates because he makes me laugh, like, every day, tell me about it. Like, there was one guy that came to the wrong class. He thought it was, like, an open workout, and he was a good, like I guess he's a good rugby player. So he just joined pro practice and started throwing everyone around. But he doesn't know how to fight. It was his first day ever. And I guess Mayhem and him sparred, and Mayhem gave him a couple black eyes. But that now he's Mayhem's best student. So Mayhem is now running at Fight Science, the gym. So this is the same gym that Jay Moore goes to, and also what's his name trains there. Jeff Ross comes on a Chinese karate there. And this is at Fight Science.
Sure, it's very effective.
Greg,
yeah, I don't know if I'd want to list Jeff Ross as one of my top karate students. But I mean, listen, it's like if I took your classes. Like, hey, this is where Greg Romero Wilson is taking his taekwondo. You'd be like, oh wow, they have beginner classes. Like,
I guess Jeff Ross does like Wing Chun karate or something, or some kind of Chinese karate.
Cool.
So Mayhem.
In many ways, it's a good recruitment because you're thinking, well, he can do it.
So Jay Moore, Mayhem, and Jeff Ross are all training there. So that's the update so far. I'll tell you who looked really good was Matt Brown. Matt Brown.
Oh yeah. Oh my God, yes. Wait a minute. Can we go back to this? I know we only talked about the joke part of that fight, but can we just talk about the fact that this Choi kid has one-punch knockout power in the featherweight division?
Yeah.
I mean, those are the heaviest hands I think I've ever seen on an Asian fighter.
I feel like 10 years ago, I feel like a lot of the Asian guys in Pride were doing really well. Like they were kicking ass, like Sakuraba and those guys. And then it seemed like the UFC guys kind of surpassed them. But now it seems like with that girl Zhang Weili and then Korean Zombie and then this guy, it seems like there's and they're not like, it used to almost look like they were not physically as in shape as the Americans, let's say, or the Eastern Europeans. Like they were just looked like they had like a disadvantage. Now these guys have like 12 packs and they're fucking shredded.
Dude, this guy has power, and I was impressed. I mean, the sound, the thud of the connection on those shots. I mean, I was like, you better fucking ask somebody because he's bringing heat to the featherweight division.
Sean, you think the steroids have like caught up over there? Is that what's going on?
It might be, man. I just two things. I think it's awesome. One, I thought you said you got because my connection's not great. I thought you said Mayhem was doing life coaching, which is awesome. Like at first I thought that's what you said. I was like, what the hell? And then I thought Greg, it cut out. I thought he said those are the biggest hands I've seen on an Asian guy. And I thought like he was trying to working his way toward an Asian small dick joke. So I was like, okay, what comes next? And then I realized I didn't hear one of the words or something.
He's in charge of the fight team. They have like the pro fight team.
Okay.
So this guy Ian left, and now Mayhem. He left Mayhem in charge of the gym. So Mayhem is now coaching the pro fight team, and he's doing really well. So
hopefully, no life coaching involved.
Hey, you know what, man? Like Mayhem is really good at actually telling people how to live their life. He's not great at his life. Obviously.
Right.
But he was great on The Ultimate Fighter as a coach. And he's actually like, if you put him in charge of something, he takes it very seriously. So he's like one of these guys that like, those who can't do, and he actually can do, he was a great fighter, but like even in jail, he was running the workouts, which didn't surprise me because he's pretty good at like, you put him, he's one of these guys that like, it's like, you know how a teacher sometimes puts like the worst kid in class in charge? And all of a sudden he becomes the best kid in class because he has that like responsibility and he likes that thing. He's pretty good at that. Like for real, I can see him being a good coach of the fight team. As fucked up as this kind of sounds, he's much better at giving orders and taking orders, if you know what I'm saying.
I'm just glad to know that there's going to be bigger, stronger, faster, and better shape criminals out there now that he's worked with them in prison. So that's exactly what we need.
Speaking of
better trained criminals.
A guy that I'm actually worried about is Bubba Jenkins. Have you been following his live feeds at all, Greg?
I haven't. Not the live feeds, no. Sorry, I'm having to do something right now real quick, but I'm with you guys.
So Bubba is constantly has his shirt off and he's rapping for like hours on end with his kids in the background, which is, I mean, he's obviously a great father. He's got three adorable kids. I'm a little nervous though, because he can win $1 million. He's got to win 2 more fights and he gets $1 million. But maybe this is his way of training, is just rapping topless on his live feed. But, hey, man, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, right? So far, he's 2-0. But I don't know, man. These guys are – you fighters are a different breed. So Matt Brown, super happy for him. That was fucking awesome. Good for him. Matt Brown's a real nice guy. And he wasn't – I'll tell you what, it was a close fight. He didn't look that great until he landed that punch. But once he did, holy shit, it was over. It was a perfect punch. Sean, what did you think?
Man, I saw Matt Brown fight for the first time ever before he had been on The Ultimate Fighter, before he's in the UFC. He fought Chris Lytle in a local show in Indianapolis in between Lytle's UFC fights. And I remember watching him, and I thought they just brought in a guy for Lytle to beat up because he's a main event. But they went to a decision, man, and I was like, that dude is tough. And then sure enough, he got on The Ultimate Fighter. But he's as manly as they get. He's probably just you're going to find out he's Don Fry's half-son or something or whatever, you know what I mean, or stepson or something. I don't know. That wouldn't make any sense. But
yeah, no, you're right. No, you're absolutely right. He does have he's one of those throwback guys that, like, he's a man's man.
Yeah.
He's one of those dudes that, like, I feel like you're hitchhiking, he'd probably pick you up. Your car breaks down, he'd help you with your car. You had to get rid of a body, he'd be like, all right, let's go. Like, he's one of those dudes that, like, lives by his own code. And a real nice guy to me, man. He's always like, hey, man, I'm watching your comedy special, laughing my ass off. He's always been super supportive of me. So, which is nice. So it's always nice when people like you. The girl Murata, who got her fucking elbow broken off against John Safuya. You see that one?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Oh yeah.
That's a tough girl right there. I mean, she would have kept fighting. Her arm was done. I don't even know how it was that arm bar in the first, right, that she didn't tap to?
It was brutal, whatever it was.
Yeah, that was, there's only the person who wasn't impressed with that was Nick Newell, because he's always had one arm, but like, holy shit. I felt that girl is tough as shit. All right, so some fun fights that happened. First of all, if you missed Masvidal's bare knuckle MMA over the weekend, the opening fight, the main event was, he's no longer called Crazy Horse. It's called Felony. Felony lost in 1 round to Jason Hick Diaz Knight. Hurt him, though. Had him hurt, like he always does. And then Knight came back and rear naked choke. I think Felony has now lost like 16 in a row or something. But it's probably been winning in every one of those fights. But it was a success. Bare knuckle MMA, I think, is here to stay. Now, Sean, you ran a promotion. Is Masvidal making money on this, you think?
Yeah, if I had to guess, I would guess his own money isn't up for it. They're just licensing his name. I know Dean Toole is a promoter in Pensacola, Florida, that's in on it with him. I know him really well. But usually on something like that, I would guess somebody went partners with them. We'll use your name to promote it. We'll front the money and see if we can make some money doing it. I highly doubt he's risking his own money. When you've got the name, you don't have to put up the money, Because you did your own promotion, right? And you went to Indiana. You had, what? You sold how many tickets? 5,000 tickets? No, the first event probably 1,200. Second one probably 1,500. But it got so expensive to promote. It wasn't where you'll make 25 on the show and give the government 20 of it by the time it's all said and done. It just wasn't worth it. You'll make 25,000 and it'll only get to keep 5. Yeah, if that, man. Yeah, because it's you got to pay. You got to pay refs. You got to pay 3 refs. You may only have 8 fights. Why do you have to have 3 refs? So they make you have 3 different refs. You got to pay judges and an alternate, and they're all getting $300 a night. You have to have an ambulance there. You have to have an insurance policy. It's about $2,000 just for one event. Like by the time it's all, you do everything, and they collect the commission takes a percentage of your tickets. They decide how many tickets you sold based on their estimate, not what you turn in. They're like, oh, you must have sold more tickets. There's more people here than that, so then they charge you extra. There's nothing you can do. So you end up giving all your money to the government. But, I mean, you're a businessman. I mean, you were a millionaire in your 20s. You've been a millionaire. You've been broke, rich. You're a guy who remade yourself many times. So when you did the numbers, you must have thought it was a good idea. Were you looking at it for long term, or what were you thinking? I was thinking I could do it long term. I was interested in managing guys at that point. I thought it'd be nice to have a place where I could pick their fights, to bring them up, and do that. But it was more, a guy said this one time that promoted a couple events. He told me, man, this is just like having a party for yourself. That's all it is. Like hope you make a little bit on it. He said, but it's just like you're throwing a huge party for a bunch of people, And I really did start to see it that way. I did it like 3 times, and I was just like, I'm not doing this anymore. Like, I'm not going to work that hard, do all that stuff, and then have to give the government all the money. It didn't make any sense. So,
what's the most you paid a fighter?
I had a guy that made, I want to say, $1,500 flat, maybe 2,000 flat or so, but that was the most. But none of them were named guys. It was just, mostly local guys or guys I was managing. So
now GSP recently said, because everyone talks about fighters, it's crazy because I almost feel like boxing, everyone compares MMA fighters to boxing. The average boxer, the average pro boxer, I looked it up, makes $28,000 a year. It's not like all these boxers are making all this money. It's Pacquiao. It's the main guys. It's Mayweather. It's yada yada. But a lot of boxers are making 1,000 on Mayweather undercards. I mean, they're making 1,000, where UFC starts at 12 and 12. Of course, look, I want everyone to get paid more. I would love it. I think if people work too fucking hard for what they get paid in everything, right? But at the same time, I'm not sure if boxing's the model. Now, a guy named GSP said, a guy like GSP says he started off making $3,000 a fight, ended up making $10 million a fight. How did he make $10 million a fight, Sean? Was that like pay-per-view numbers? Or
Yeah, it was pay-per-view. Because didn't they
what they used to do, man, they would give you, they considered anything below 200,000 pay-per-views as them breaking even. So what they'll do is they'll promise a guy, okay, we'll give you 300,000, like maybe Lesnar, 300,000 flat, $2 a pay-per-view over 200,000, $3 a pay-per-view over 500,000, whatever like that, 5 or 10 over $1 million, whatever it is, and that's how it adds up. But it's all pay-per-view points when they're making that kind of money. But the GSP didn't make that very many times. I mean, that was maybe his last fight or 2.
Yeah, I was going to say that was maybe 2 or 3 fights that were the big, marquee, matches, like versus who were some of his big fights? Like Matt Hughes, or who was it?
The Bisping ones were huge. The Koscheck ones were big. The Hendricks ones were big.
Yeah.
Jake Shields.
I mean, those, but only some of those were the really huge money makers. He couldn't have hit that number too many times. But he was a big draw back then. I mean, he was the top guy.
I was the co-main event at UFC 124 with him, and I was happy to find out he made like $3 million because I got paid a cool 10. So I got 10,000. $10,000 for co-main event at a pay-per-view that sold 900,000 buys, and they gave me an extra $10,000 bonus, even though I lost. They ran through me an extra 10. They called it a pay-per-view bonus, and I was like, "Well, you guys probably only made $60 million on it. I could see why. I would get 10,000." So, yeah.
Yeah, man. I mean, it's crazy. So, all right, some other stuff that went on over the weekend. Anderson Silva beat Chavez Jr. That was crazy because that, to me, is a much bigger upset than Jake Paul beating up Ben Askren, because Ben Askren doesn't box. So he beat up a guy in a sport he doesn't play. Whereas Chavez Jr. went like 12 rounds with Canelo, had some kind of belt. I mean, he was considered one of the best boxers in his weight class for a while. I mean, I think he was top 10, top 5. Anderson Silva, this was like his second boxing match, I think. And he beat him and beat him bad. I mean, he was almost, embarrassed him. Now, a lot of things about this event. First of all, the commentators made the Triller people look like fucking Bob Costas. It was unbelievable. The one girl there, I'm sure she's fine and knows boxing, but she goes, "Well, isn't a fighter a fighter a fighter?" No. They're different. You can't take Jordan Burroughs. You put him into a karate fucking tournament. He's not going to do well if he doesn't do karate. Okay, and then Mayweather is not going to do well in sumo wrestling. Okay, it's not a fighter, a fighter, a fighter. There's different fucking art forms. It's called mixed martial arts. But also, Chavez is like, man, what a disappointment. I think a lot of it is who his father was. Obviously, if his dad wasn't Chavez Sr., he never would have had that name. But I also think that being the son of a fighter usually doesn't help, because that guy went through like fucking hell to get where he was, and you don't have that kind of drive. Now, not always the case. Floyd Mayweather Sr. was a damn good fighter. Mayweather Jr. was arguably one of the best ever. But But I think in more times than not, you look at, Marvis Frazier. I don't know if that was Joe Frazier's son or nephew, or, Layla Ali was great. And then there are sometimes AJ McKee looks like he's going to be better than Antonio McKee. In mixed martial arts, maybe, because the guys are still hungry. They didn't make what they made. But in boxing, because Camacho Jr. was even fucking worse on the next thing. What did you think? What were your takeaways, Sean, on that Chavez senior fight?
Man, that was I wish they would have let him take the headgear off if he wanted to do it for the last round. I think he was
I'm talking about Chavez Jr. versus Anderson Silva.
Oh, Junior, yeah. I think Anderson Silva came in shape, being a much better boxer than they assumed. I think Chavez Jr. just came in out of shape, thought it was going to be easy. He thought he's a washed-up MMA fighter, thinking he wouldn't know how to throw a punch or anything. But Anderson Silva, you can't forget his striking was amongst the best in the world. That includes punches, not just kicks. So that's punches too. So he's got to be a decent boxer to have that good striking. So I think he was in shape, and Junior wasn't. So.
Yeah. Even the fights he lost, it seems like the Weidman fight where he got kicked, or the other fights, the Stylebender fight, it was just like low activity kind of. The Chael fight, he almost lost, but he got wrestled for 5 rounds. It wasn't – boxing really wasn't the problem. He was still 46 years old. Now, afterwards, Greg, so Chavez Sr. fights Hector Camacho Jr., right? Hector Camacho Jr. I met when I was barking. I was giving out flyers in Times Square, begging people to come into – for 5 years I did this. I would get spit on. I get people telling me to go fuck myself. And I'm like, hey, we got a comedy show at Hamburger Harry's, comics from HBO. None of them were ever there. It was us. We tricked everyone into coming. And people told me I was a loser. I would see people that I went to college with where I dropped out. They were on Broadway dates. They were all dressed to the nine. They're like, Adam, how's your comedy career going? I'm like, great. I'm at Hamburger Harry's tonight. And I wasn't even getting paid. I didn't get a fucking dollar for that. You just put your initial in the back. And basically how many people you got in was how many minutes you can do. This was the kind of shit that I did for 5 fucking years. Talk about rejection. It was freezing in time. The only time we ever got people half the time was it was so cold, people wanted somewhere to go. It was that fucking cold. So anyway, Macho Camacho and his buddy are walking by, and I was a big boxing fan at the time. I watched Macho Camacho, and he was like, his friend goes, if you guess who this is, we'll come. I go, that's Macho Camacho Jr. So he actually showed up and came, and he got kicked out because his friend heckled and was being a total dick.
That sounds right.
And then 2 months later, he quit in a fight against Jesse James Leija, a fight where it was a tough fight, and he wouldn't get off a stool, and then that was sort of the end. This guy, Greg, came in. He was so out of shape and fat. It looked like he was like Roy Nelson ate Roy Nelson. And he came in against Chavez Sr., who was 58 years old, and was beating the fuck out of him, like in an exhibition fight. And then by the 4th round, they both took off their headgear, and because they kept hitting after the bell, and they go, come on, come on, come on. And then all of a sudden, Canelo's in the crowd, and he hops in the ring, and he's the special guest referee. It became like the WWE. It was a 4-round fight.
There is nothing you're saying that makes me regret not seeing these. It's just, and what you're saying is exactly, it's turning into a circus. It's just turning into it's turning into WWE. Boxing is because of their lack of ability to draw. They're slowly merging with WWE into this new universe where boxing is boxing schmoxing. Hey, we got this old guy versus this random dude, but Canelo is going to come out of the crowd. Like, oh my God.
Dude, it was insane. McCorkle, are you still with us? I just have him frozen and laughing.
Yeah, he's frozen over here too.
It was straight comedy. Like between the week before, between Jake Paul boxing Lamar Odom and Wide Neck fighting on the undercard.
Oh my God! Yeah. It's like, everyone, just please turn your back on this shit, please. It's just so dumb.
So now they're saying that Logan Paul is going to fight Mike Tyson. That's the word on the street. Logan Paul says he can beat Mike Tyson. Tyson's too old for him. I don't know, man. It's like, I feel like if they don't drug test, right, and they just let Mike Tyson come in with the HGH and whatever he was on when he fought Roy Jones, Tyson wins this in 3 rounds. I don't think Logan.
Well, I don't see why they would try and stop him from doing steroids since it's not sanctioned by anybody. So I mean, what is the United Stagehands Union going to raise a fuss about this? Like nobody. It's the Wild West now, and God bless it. I hope so because Tyson will send him flying so far out of the ring. It'll be the greatest day in the history of boxing.
We think that. Okay, so McCorkle, what we're saying is Logan Paul. They're saying is going to fight Mike Tyson. That's what they're trying to take. It was on TMZ. Logan says I would kill Mike Tyson. He's too old. I'm saying if they let Tyson take whatever Mexican steroids he was on, allegedly, for the Roy Jones fight, and whatever HGH allegedly he was on, Tyson kills him in under 3 rounds. But if they don't, I don't know. I mean, what do you think, Sean?
No, Tyson looked awesome to me against – people forget how good of a boxer Roy Jones is, whether he's old or not. But, Tyson, obviously he's not his old self, but he would kill 99% of the people in the world in a boxing ring. When he's in shape like that. He's even out of shape. He's probably a little scary. But, no, I don't know what he was taking. I don't know what he was on, but I would like some. I'll tell you that.
What do you – now, I know that you knew people that took steroids. What would you say he was on if you had to guess?
Because I know myself. I would say, man, for sure HGH. There's something called what is it? Peptides everyone's taking now. Bob Sapp was telling me about them. Some kind of peptide thing that's also like a form of HGH. I'm sure a load of testosterone, which he could get prescribed all legally. If you got enough money, you can get anti-aging fund to give you pretty much anything. So, and prescribe it for you. So, yeah, I'm sure he was having some help. But when you're that athletic, too, I think it comes back even at that age, pretty fast. So
I would love to see it. I would love to see it. Now, Rashad Evans came out of retirement. He wants to box Roy Jones or fight Logan Paul. I spoke to Rashad yesterday. It's legit. It's 100% legit. He's putting it out there. I mean, good. I wanted to make $1 million. I went out with Rashad in Florida.
Well, there's only one of those fights that's going to make $1 million.
The Logan
no
Paul.
No one's going to pay $1 million to see him fight Roy Jones. Who gives a fuck about that? He doesn't even have a YouTube channel.
What do you think as far as Rashad versus Logan Paul? McCorkle.
Oh, man, I'd have to think Rashad would kill him. Like, Rashad's stand-up was good, man, toward, midway to the end of his career. So he picked it up. So, yeah, I would be shocked if Rashad's a big dude, too. So it ain't like he's, he probably walks at 210. So Logan would be a little bigger than him, but I can't see Rashad not murdering him.
Now, did you guys watch the PFL fights? Anybody?
Did not.
Nope.
Oh, okay. There was some good PFL fights that went on. This guy Corey Hendricks, he was getting the shit beaten out of him by this guy Hamlet, and he came back and won. Rory McDonald got robbed. He lost his fight. Rory McDonald lost his fight to Gleison Tebow, but really won. I don't understand. And then Tom Lawler won his fight and then retired, even though he was still in the tournament technically. So he won.
Then you were telling that you don't win the $1 million if you don't finish the tournament.
like he took off his.
Why would you retire in the middle of a tournament fight?
He technically wasn't out, but he was like it was like a long shot. But it was like he was still could have got in, and then his like buddy got in, and he was rooting for his buddy. It was It was very, very weird. I've
noticed that they have had to bring in some replacements because they've got guys that already have points. They're like, and coming in now, joining the tournament is this guy. So clearly, some guys they're like, no mas.
Yeah. No, it's crazy. Now, did you guys see what happened at that show between Sean Strickland, the UFC fighter, and the other guy that he was training with, the jiu-jitsu guy? They got into it. Do you watch that video?
Yeah.
McCorkle, what are your thoughts on that?
I didn't really see what he did that was wrong, but it may have hurt the UFC fighter. Like it may have done something to his wrist. I don't know if he twisted his wrist or did whatever, but guys in the UFC, especially if you fight, I mean, once you have a UFC contract, you're very weird about getting hurt. Like I wouldn't play in basketball leagues. People would want me to play because I used to be good and play in college and stuff. They'd be like, hey, we play on our basketball team. Even though I was in shape, I was like, man, I can't. If I roll my ankle or something, it, could really set me back. So you had to be careful of tearing ACL or anything. So I think anytime a guy like that's trying to train with somebody, the other guy is perceived to be trying to hurt you, then you get pretty upset.
Yeah, well, I guess that guy's a big – Orlando Sanchez, he's an Abu Dhabi winner, and he's like a big hothead in the gym, but they're both hotheads. People train with Strickland say he goes 100% the whole time. So
yeah.
It's one of those things. And I guess he was doing a move where you could hurt the guy, but you're not going to get a submission. You're just going to injure him.
All right.
And that's
Well, last time I checked, that's a submission.
But you're not going to get a decent guy to tap. You're just going to like break their arm, like fuck them up, which is why he got mad.
You know why I was mad about that? Because they're like, a fight breaks out when these two, and no, it wasn't a fight. No fight. There was no fight. An argument broke out. A bitch session broke out, but there was no fight. I was like, fuck this video. This fucking hype bullshit. A fight breaks out between them. No, it didn't. A fight specifically stopped. And then they fucking yelled at each other. I fucking hated that stupid ass shit. I hate when they overplay what the video is, and then you watch it, and you're like, fucking, this is why you're all fucking liars.
You know what's getting kind of annoying, though, also, is that guy from Russia who's a little person. You know that guy who's like, they were supposed to have two little people fight. One guy looks like a mini Khabib, but they're both like 30-year-old actors. And now the guy's like calling out Henry Cejudo, and it was like funny at first, but it's like, okay, we get the joke. You're a little person and you're pretending to fight. But they keep making videos that are going viral, and it's just like, I don't know, man. A lot of these, like,
how much weight was the midget plan on cutting to beat up with his Cejudo?
A lot of these one-trick ponies, it's just like, I don't know, Greg. I don't know if it bothers you a little bit, but it's just like it's big for a second, but you're like, man, I'm in this for a lifetime. You know,
are you referring to damn wide neck? It sounds like you're trying to throw some shade on wide neck. Wide neck's gonna be around for a long time, I bet.
Wide neck's throwing shade on everybody else with his fucking neck.
Yeah,
shade.
But there's also like long neck too. They all live in a house or something.
Yeah, Daddy Long Neck. That the same guy, Dean Toole, that was, I told you, co-promoting with what's his name, Masvidal, manages those guys. Like I hit him up one time. I said, hey, you should have Wide Neck fight your show. He goes, he is. I manage him. I'm his manager. I was like, damn, you're managing a guy named Wide Neck. And he's like his manager or whatever, his agent. So it's awesome.
Dude, I was friends with a girl named Gina who used to manage like all the mistresses back in the day of Tiger Woods. Like she managed and like the girl that hooked up with Mel Gibson, like his ex. She managed like Octomom. I like met all of them. They were all fucking insane. A couple of them were like,
well, it sounds like a highly reputable agency.
Did you do that roast for them? Were you there when we roasted them? And they all like, it was like Tequila Tequila.
I think so. I think I was there.
And it was at the Ha. We had like a red.
Yeah, I may have helped you write jokes for that, maybe, or something. I remember, or maybe I may have also been on it.
It was Aquamom, Tequila Tequila.
Yeah,
the mistresses. And
yes,
I actually wrote them a Christmas album. They wanted me to write I'm dreaming of a white mistress. Like I actually wrote a song, like they wanted to do a song, and it was like, I'm dreaming of a white mistress, just like a one that used to blow. And
my God.
They got offended that like they wanted to do like real songs. And I'm like, listen, guys, come on. Like,
yeah, it's like you hired a comedian, not a songwriter. I write parodies. I don't fucking write you a legitimate fucking, this is our single. It's coming out at Christmas.
It's the worst record pitch I've ever heard.
It's called Your 5 Minutes on the Prison Payphone Are the Best 5 Minutes of Christmas.
It's like, we wish you a merry mistress. I had like 10 of them. And then I pitched them, and they all got, I did sing it to them over the phone. It was just dead silent. And then someone started crying. It was terrible. It was really, really terrible. It was bad. All right.
I got to be honest with you. It sounds terrible. I believe your assessment of that completely.
All right. So this week in the PFL, Kayla Harrison is fighting Cindy Dandois. I don't know if you know, Kayla Harrison is a 2-time Olympic gold medalist in judo. The only female that ever won it twice. I think the only American, male or female. She's a girl with an amazing story. She's had a really tough life. Her judo coach like molested her or something, like is like in jail for like 6-7 years. And she actually goes around and like gives these speeches to people about.
Yeah, that's right. I think I heard about that.
Super nice, super cool woman. Like just a really cool chick. Like I did all these dirty jokes about her when she came to my show in Florida, and she was really good. She's fighting Cindy Dandois, who also came to my show, who was trying to bang Anthony Johnson for a while. And now she has an OnlyFans account, which I heard gets pretty
trying to. How hard can it be?
Well, she's got like 6 kids, and then he told me he saw the pictures and then moonwalked away from the phone. That's what he told me. He literally said
That kind of, you know what? That might do it. Yeah. That's a little fertile. You don't want to go throwing it around in that tank. Forget it.
So they're fighting. So she's also a black belt in judo, but not the same kind of black belt. And she's fought at 135. I mean, look, I like this tournament. I understand it. It's just weird because they have a PFL men's tournament. Then they have only a 155-pound women's division. That's it. That's the only division they have. And they have a bunch of girls that aren't even that weight who are going up to fight that, who are fighting this fucking monster chick who just beats everyone's ass in every fight in Kayla Harrison.
I was going to say, if you're going to have one female division, 155 seems pretty heavy to have a singular female division.
It's a little strange. By the way, we're waiting for Luke Rockhold, who I talked to on the phone yesterday, who said he was going to come on the show, but we'll see.
Which, by the way, when you were talking about Harrison and you were talking about she was the one that had the coach.
Yeah.
Right. And then you're like, I was making all these dirty jokes about her. I mean, those.
Oh yeah.
Now we want to know what. I mean, what?
Nothing. All right. It was about her being like fun and it had nothing to do with her being. It was
okay because you put one right after the other.
No. Okay.
And like I made all these dirty jokes, but I'm like,
it was to her face, not about her being molested. Obviously, it was about her and her boyfriend at the time was a fighter, and I said that like she gets top or something like that. It was a lot of jokes about her being dominant.
Okay, that makes more sense. I want a little clarification.
No, her giving the best handies because her arms are so big. It's like 2-stroke squirt. Like it's nothing inappropriate.
Yeah, but that squirt is blood.
Oh. So also Anthony Pettis is fighting against Rayush Manfio. I don't know who that guy is, but Pettis, he better win or he's not in the tournament.
Yeah, he's done. He lost the first one, right?
Yeah, and so did Lance Palmer. And Lance Palmer, who lost to Bubba, is fighting a guy, Mavlid Kabalayev, who's 16-0. And that dude, this guy's like he's a defending 2-time champion. Like that would be crazy if he didn't make it. Also Muhammad Daris, who goes by,
I don't think Palmer loses this one. I think Palmer thought he had a cakewalk back to the top. Yeah. And nobody else thought that. And so I think this time he's going to come out. I think we see a different Palmer. If we don't, well, that'll tell you everything you need to know.
I think Bubba was in his head too, because Bubba beat him like 5 out of 6 times in college.
That's right, the college thing. Yeah, I think you're going to see a very motivated Palmer. I'm going to have to see this one, man, because I think Palmer's going to come out. And, of course, this guy, he looks fucking mean, so he ain't going to be bulldozed, that's for sure.
And then there's a guy named Mighty Mo who's fighting, who I like, from Florida, Muhammad Daris. He's a guy that just has some bad luck, but he's a good fighter, good wrestler. And Caitlin Young from Minnesota, who won her fight against Cindy Dandois, who I like a lot, super cool chick, is fighting Mariana Moraes. I don't know who that is, but good luck to Caitlin Young on that one. Bellator this week. One of my guys, one of my good friends, Tim Johnson, who's a guy who's a heavyweight, served in the military, was in the UFC, was in the top 15, and while he was there, he was an Uber driver and worked at a strip club in Omaha as a bouncer. And then he went over to Bellator, and he got his ass kicked his first couple fights. Since then, he's on like a 3-0 tear. He beat Chet Congo. He beat a guy that he wasn't supposed to beat. They put him in against Tyrell Fortune. He knocked him out. Knocked out Matt Mitrione, your boy. So he's fighting Valentina Moldavsky, who's 10-1, who looks like Brendan Schaub a little bit actually. Who's coming off a win over Roy Nelson. Roy Nelson his Bellator run was rough. I think he went like 1-5. You know, when I heard that, yeah.
Is Bellator doing a tournament style like PFL now?
No.
Okay.
This is for the heavyweight interim title because Ryan Bader was the champion, and then he went down to 205. So Bader now is in the tournament. So I guess he vacated the belt when he went down to win. He went to win the $1 million in the tournament.
So there is a tournament.
Yeah, but not in the heavyweight. They're having like a tournament in certain weight classes. They have like certain weight classes have tournaments and certain.
I love it. They're like, listen, we're losing in our competition versus UFC. Let's just do what PFL's doing.
Let's just have tournaments. And then Liz Carmouche.
Oh my God.
Liz Carmouche is fighting the Killer Gorilla. Miles Jury is fighting Sydney Outlaw. Sydney came to my show with some hot ass girl. Like,
wait a minute, Carmouche is. It says Kana Watanabe.
Yeah, Kata Watanabe.
And that's the Killer Gorilla.
No. Liz is the Killer Gorilla.
Oh, she's the Killer Gorilla.
Yeah. But
that makes more sense.
Watanabe's pretty good. She beat Alejandra Lara. She's 10-0.
10-0-1. That's shocking.
Asian black belt. But Carmouche has been around. I mean, she's been around. She's so fucking strong, that girl. Kira Batara. Remember Kira from OnlyFans? We had her on the show. That little girl who was in like a polyamorous relationship.
And like she's like the jujitsu princess or something.
Super cute. Remember she was like in the Mexican league. What's it called? She was in Invicta. Then she was in the one.
I think it's called Lucha Vavoom.
No, she's not Lucha Vavoom. Okay. What am I thinking about, Sean? You know what I'm talking about.
Sabado Gigante.
The one that Juliana Pena does commentary for and only talks about herself the whole time, which, I mean, she's awesome, but talk about her fights. By the way, there was a thing called Shark Fights back in the day that Don Fry and Boz Rutan were the commentary on. And they got drunk and only talked about their fights through everyone's fights. Like there was like submissions going on, people were getting knocked out, and it somehow was just about their fights. Like they weren't even like talking about it. The greatest commentary team of all time were those two. Combate. She fought Combate, got cut.
Combate.
4-0 in Combate, and then got cut. So now she's in Bellator. She said I inspired her to get back into training because before she was talking to me on the podcast, she wasn't talking to her family. She was with a guy that I wasn't a fan of. She had some issues. She was, I don't know, showing her tits, and I don't know what kind. I'm like, Kara, you're young, you're talented. You time is, it goes by quickly. Like, take advantage of it. Take advantage of your gifts. And now she's fighting in Bellator. So it's all me. Nothing to do with her.
I'm glad you recognized it before somebody else had to.
She's fighting. And then Miles Jury is also on this card. This is a good card. And Bobby Lee's fighting. Bobby Lee is fighting Soren Bach. Not the comedian Bobby Lee.
I was going to say, wow, from bad TV to this. Huh? All right.
I used to love Bobby D. Lee, but all he would do is grab your cock. Like, you see him, he would just try to grab your cock. Like, every time I saw him, to the point where I was like, dude, like, you got to stop grabbing my cock. Like, I know it's funny the first 19 times, but just come on.
So when is the little Combate girl, what's her name? When is she fighting?
She's on the undercard. She's the final on. It's on YouTube or MMA Junkie. You go watch it. It's this Friday night in Bellator.
It's weird.
Because I'm looking at the prelims. I don't see it on the prelims.
Yeah. What was that?
Talking about Bobby Lee grabbing people's dicks and stuff. Like, that's just another thing Shop stole from a different comedian. Like,
there it is.
Like,
that's
wait a minute. Bobby Lee
we got 3 good ones in today so far.
All right. So in the UFC, Cyril Gane, who's 8-0. Who's just like a monster.
Yeah.
He's the guy that beat Rosenstruck. Like, he just ran through Rosenstruck. He's fighting Alexander Volkov, who's a really good fighter. He just knocked out Overeem. He knocked out Walt Harris. He lost to Curtis Blades. He beat Greg Hardy. He lost to the Black Beast, but he was winning. He lost with 1 second left. Knocked out Stefan Struve. Beat Verdum. Beat that guy Tim Johnson. I like Volkov in this.
Do you really?
Yeah, I do.
No, I'm going Cyril Gane on this one. I think he's. I mean, if he lost to what's his name, I think you don't have a chance here either.
The Black Beast, but he was winning. He just got caught.
No, the one, not Greg Hardy. The other one.
He beat Greg Hardy. He lost to.
Right.
He lost to Curtis Blades.
Curtis Blades. Yes, if he loses to Curtis Blades, he's losing bad to Cyril Gane.
Blades is a great wrestler, though. A great wrestler.
This guy's the truth. I like this guy. I think Cyril's going to take him. And I don't even think it's going to – I mean, I think it's first rounder.
Sean?
I'm going to Volkov, man, just because he's been around forever, fought a lot of guys, and I'm not that familiar with the other guy. So,
also, Tanner Bozer, who's from Maine, has a mullet. Is coming off a loss to he lost to Alir Latifi. He lost to Arlovsky. He came off 2 losses, actually, before that, he actually beat Felipe Lins and Rafael Pasawa. He's fighting OSP, who's the most inconsistent fighter ever.
Yeah, totally.
He lost to John Mahal Hill. He beat Alonzo Menefield, lost to Ben Rothwell. I don't know. This is like a pick 'em. I think OSP beats him, though. Yeah,
I think so, too. I think this is a good fight for OSP, and I think they gave it to him specifically to get him back on the winner's circle.
Also, Andre Philly, who I love this dude. In high school, he had an ankle bracelet on because he was like got in some trouble. He like couldn't leave his house. He trains over at Team Alpha Male. He's got a hot little girlfriend. One of those girls, by the way, who like when you see her, like she looks like she's hot, but then you see her on Instagram and you're like, oh, that's how she looks like with the fucking in a bikini. So good for you, Philly. He's fighting Danielle Pineda, who I think this is a good fight for Philly. He got knocked out by Cub Swanson. He beat Herbert Burns, but before he also lost to Georgie Karakanyan, your boy, back in the day. I think Philly's gonna win. You, Greg?
Oh, I think it's a coin toss too. I mean, they're both coming off losses. So Feely, I mean, he's one of those guys that, you know, you think he's a world beater, then finds a way to lose. And Pineda, again, he's a tough guy, but he's 27-13. I mean, you know, he's one of those very similar. So I think when you say coin toss, I think it applies to these guys.
McCorkle?
I think UFC wants Feely to win, probably more than the other guys. So I would say they may have done that matchmaking with that in mind. So I'll go with him. Now, the crazy is the first fight on the card, according to MMA Junkie, which I'm not sure, is Wally Alves, which is crazy because he's coming off a win against Monir Lazez. He lost to Randy Brown, but he beat Colby Covington. He beat Sergio Moraes. He lost to Usman. He beat Alan Juban back in the day. He won the Ultimate Fighter. He's fighting Jeremiah Wells. I think Wally wins this fight. I don't know much about Jeremiah Wells. He's coming off 2 wins, but that's crazy. I mean, that's crazy.
Well, it's not the first fight on the UFC page. It's not the first. It says it's right before the final fight.
Oh, good.
So of the prelims. So he's not. There's like 4 fights before him.
Good.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5 fights before the Wally Alves fight.
And then Charles Rosa, who came to Florida to become a chef. He became a chef, and he wanted to lose weight. So he went to AT&T to train. And now he's in the UFC, and he's beaten a lot of good guys. But he's also coming across. He lost to Derek Maynor. He lost to Bryce Mitchell. Beat Kevin Aguilar. He wins and loses. He like goes back and forth. He beat Kyle Boschnick. Lost to Yair Rodriguez. He's fighting against Justin James, who took his first fight on like a day notice to knock somebody out. Lately, though, he's on a 3-fight losing streak. So he needs a win. I don't know who wins this one. This is going to be a good fight, though. He also came to my Zoom show and tipped me. So
nice.
I don't want to pick against him. Who do I like at this one, Greg?
I don't know these guys very well, so I couldn't really say.
And then Tim Means, who is fighting Nicholas Dalby. Dalby's a guy who suffered from depression, fucking great fighter. Tim Means, the guy who went to jail for like I think some kind of Oxycontin or meth. Said when he used to masturbate in the cell, they would put like a little cloth to let people know they were masturbating and don't come in. A little fun fact. He's fighting Nicholas.
I know. I'm sure people respected that too. That's the way it goes in jail.
I should do like the facts before like people come in, like you know they put them on the screen.
Yeah.
Jail and put a towel like that because that's what people want to know, dude. In Bellator,
she was molested by her coach. Now she's fighting like in Bellator, like just all the worst things. Jesus,
dude, there was a guy in Bellator who on the bottom of the screen it said has 14 siblings. Like that was his like strength. I'm like, what the fuck?
Don't make no mistake about it. That is a strength. Okay. No, that is someone who had to fight from out the gate. They had to fight for food. So listen, I'm from a big family. There's a lot of fight there. That does count as training.
That's crazy. That is crazy. So have you guys heard about Nick Cannon, by the way?
No, what's going on now?
I can only imagine.
So Nick Cannon got his so he like posts on Instagram that he had a baby, right? This is his seventh baby,
Right.
or sixth baby, fourth this year, right?
Right.
Or maybe third this year with like. And on the same day he posts it, he also announces with another girl that she's pregnant with Nick's baby. Like the same day the baby came out. Like two different girls.
Oh my God.
So he's just getting roasted left and right on Twitter. People, one meme after another about like, but I mean, how crazy is that? Like, so
it's not just a clever last name. This cannon can't stop firing. I mean, Jesus.
Like,
put some blanks in that sucker, man. Jesus.
Dude, it is so hard to have like one kid. I mean, seven kids. I guess, and he's so busy, that guy. He's always, how is he going to?
Well, I think that's what he's counting on. He's like, I don't have to pay attention to these kids. But that's the other thing. I mean, I just, how hard is it to just not shoot your load in there, man? Just fucking, you feel, just don't do it. Like, oh my God.
So, I mean, he wrote, celebrating you today. She wrote to Cannon. The pregnancy comes after Scott reported. He also confirmed that he goes, so, and then, I mean, the girls are all smoking hot. Don't get me wrong. I mean, they're all like chicks where you're like, oh, I want to have her, but nothing, Brie. But at the same time, like, I mean, what is he, and then the names of these babies, right? One of them is named Trillion Hair, like trillionaire.
Oh my God.
Like, so Trillion Hair is one of them. The other one,
I have a feeling the only way that comes true is if she inherits it or he inherits it, whoever, they inherit it from Nick when he dies. I don't know. That's really putting a big burden on a kid to be like, you're going to be a trillionaire.
Trillionaire. Yeah. Trillionaire is one of them. The other one is named Powerful Queen.
Well, I mean, there you go. That makes sense.
Really?
Sure. That one's going to be easier to live up to, especially if it's a guy.
Trillion Hair? I mean, I don't know, man. Some people just...
It's easier to be a powerful queen than a trillionaire.
Trillion Hair. I mean, that's like... I told you, did I ever tell you the time I was like taking... I thought they were just like CBD pills, CBD, and they were THC. So I was taking like 5 a night or something, right? Like I was like, oh, I'll just keep popping these, right? They were like these little, and then my wife wanted to do like baby names, which is not the time you want to be high off your. So I was like, oh, we should name him our kid Funnel Cake. I thought Funnel Cake. And then my daughter was like, you don't even like Funnel Cake. So I was like, yeah, like that was the problem. So yeah, so Trillion Hair, and the other one is named.
Summer and I used to joke about baby names, and I was like, if we ever have a son, I want to name him Luxurio. And then I'll just call him Rio for short.
And then the other one is named Zion Mixol Dion. MixOlYDIAN. By the way, I hate when I'm in my car talking to somebody, right? Like my daughter had like a meltdown at dance class, right? The recital I told you. So I'm talking to somebody, and someone's like, "How's your daughter?" She's in the back seat, and I go, "Oh, dude, she had a MELTDOWN the other day, right?" The person goes, "A meltdown?" I was like, yeah, like yes, I'm not just spelling it. I know you know how to spell, but like. And then my daughter was like, "I did not have a meltdown, Daddy." Like, so she starts yelling at me having a fucking meltdown. Like when you know if I'm like spelling something to not just like it wasn't a quiz. I'm not gonna spell. Yeah. I mean, yeah. Anyway, so fucking Luke Rockhold, man. Fucking well, I mean, he didn't show up for his last fight either. So,
zip zim zing, got him.
Yeah. So anyway, you guys.
Well, listen, great episode, super fun. I got to go back to dealing with family business. Yeah. So love talking MMA. Thank you for the break. Love you, buddy. Love to Bree and the baby, and to McCorkle. And let's hopefully we can get. Hopefully we haven't lost Don Fry forever. I'll have to do Greg Fry without the real deal.
I love you too. Take care, brother. Take care.
Take care, man.